Is there a doctor in the house? When it comes to a lot of the major franchises, yeah, often there is. Hello, geeks, freaks, and all those unique. This is MC Frodis. Being the Doctor in Doctor Who is a career-defining role. It's the headline of an obituary kind of role, with, I think, one exception to the rule. But that doesn't mean that the Doctor is the only role that these talented actors have taken. They're not even the only science fiction and fantasy roles. Some of them can even end up rivaling the Doctor in popularity. So here are 10 times actors playing the Doctor have made an impact in other franchises. I will try to be focusing on one specific role, but will also shout out when actors have made multiple memorable appearances in genre pieces. Number 10. John Hurt in general. You know how I mentioned an actor whose role as the Doctor was not an obituary headliner? This is that actor. Now, this is for two reasons. One, John Hurt only played the Doctor in the 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor, although he would also take up the role for the Big Finish War Doctor series. There is also the fact that John Hurt was cast as the War Doctor specifically because of his iconic status as an actor, which includes many large franchise roles. The first thing that comes to mind to a lot of people is Kane in Ridley Scott's Alien. He is the first person to die in the franchise, setting up the standard for the series. Hurt would also have the good nature to reprise the role in cameo in Mel Brooks' Spaceballs. But given his legendary status, this is hardly all John Hurt did. He voiced Aragorn in Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings, playing the lead role of Winston in 1984, and was the titular character in Jim Henson's Storyteller. He appeared as Garrick Ollivander in that Boy Wizard franchise, and Professor Oxley in Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. There are many other roles that can be mentioned because John Hurt was just prolific and awesome. He stands apart from the others on this list because he is better known for these roles than the Doctor. Because that's why he was made the Doctor. John Hurt was not a man who could be defined by one role, but an entire career of him being amazingly talented and diverse. Number 9. Jodie Whittaker as Fionn, Black Mirror. When it comes to modern British science fiction, Black Mirror may be the most influential. Akin to a modern version of The Twilight Zone, how many times have we heard the situation described as So Black Mirror? An anthology series with a new cast in each episode, it's no surprise that there has been plenty of crossover in the cast with Doctor Who. Jodie Whittaker's appearance in the program happened before her casting as the 13th Doctor, leading to a lot of fans upon her casting commenting, "Hey, she was in Black Mirror." Whittaker's role was as Fionn in the 3rd episode of Series 1, The Entire History of You. She is the wife of the lead, Liam. Fionn and Liam live in a world where everyone has electronic devices inserted into their cerebral cortex, allowing them to relive their memories with perfect recollection. Liam's obsessive jealousy combined with this grain technology brings ruin to their relationship. Whittaker's appearance in Black Mirror caused controversy amongst the misogynist side of fandom, insulting her for her love scene within the episode, thinking it was unbefitting of the Doctor. This is in spite of David Tennant playing Giacomo freaking Casanova prior to his casting, but we all know what the real difference is. The Entire History of You remains one of the best episodes of Black Mirror, in no small part to Whittaker's layered performance. Number 8. Peter Capaldi as Cardinal Richelieu, The Musketeers. When talking about Peter Capaldi in terms of memorable genre performances outside of being the 12th Doctor, it would be really easy to say his other appearances in Doctor Who and Torchwood. Capaldi was such a Doctor Who fan, he was happy to appear on the show as Caecilius in The Fires of Pompeii, a role that is specifically mentioned as later an inspiration to the Doctor to regenerate into that form. He also had a substantial role as John Frobisher in Torchwood Children of Earth, as a member of the government. It has since been explained that Frobisher was actually a descendant of Caecilius. But outside of Who, Capaldi has had an illustrious career. While containing no fantastical elements, probably the project that fits the brief the best is Capaldi's role as the villainous Cardinal Richelieu in The Musketeers. He serves as the antagonist to the titular heroes. At least until Capaldi was cast as the Doctor. Capaldi has other roles in his resume, such as in Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere as the Angel Islington, protector of London Below. He is also one of the better parts of the lackluster adaptation World War Z, playing the WHO Doctor. Those cheeky credit makers. Number 7. Peter Davison as the Dish of the Day, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The connection between Douglas Adams and Doctor Who is incontestable. He served as a script editor on season 17 of the classic series and wrote 2 episodes, The Pirate Planet and Shada. The third book of the Hitchhiker series, Life, the Universe, and Everything, was even originally intended as a Doctor Who story. So it is no surprise that there should be Doctor Who connection in the 1981 miniseries. However, you might not recognize it on first glance. Or second. Or third. Pretty much completely unrecognizable in his costume, Davison, who had just been announced to be taking over the role of the Doctor, is the dish of the day at Milliway's, the restaurant at the end of the universe. The dish of the day is an Amygdalian major cow, an animal bred to be quite willing and vocal in its desire to be eaten by the patrons of the restaurant. Davison made the uncredited cameo as he was a fan of the radio series, and at the time was married to the actress playing Trillian, Sandra Dickinson. Number 6. Paul McGann as Golik, Alien 3. I have a deep love for the Eighth Doctor, despite his soulful appearance being, well, the television movie. His tenure was fully cemented by his fantastic work within Big Finish, and then fully cemented by his appearance in The Night of the Doctor. Prior to his appearance in the 1996 failed pilot to revive Doctor Who, Paul McGann appeared in another science fiction franchise. This appearance would be in the third Alien movie, at the time planned to be the grand finale to the series. McGann played Golik, a delusional murderer who was seemingly enamored of the alien before mysteriously disappearing from the story due to cuts made in the theatrical version. McGann's performance as Golik is unnerving, as he's got a chilling calm to him throughout the chaos, which just shows how disturbed he is. He's one of the standouts, and what I can safely say at this point is the third best Alien movie. Number 5. Christopher Eccleston as Malekith, Thor: The Dark World. With Doctor Who and the Marvel Cinematic Universe being gigantic franchises, it's no surprise that there should be crossover. This has happened with various companions, not to mention many one-shot guest actors. But the first time a Doctor made a major appearance in the MCU was big news, especially given Eccleston's notoriously serious nature seeming to clash with the idea of playing the prosthetic heavy villain Malekith in Thor: The Dark World. Eccleston's role was stymied by cuts to the character to allow more time for the romance between Thor and Jane Foster, as well as the redemptive arc for Loki. Eccleston hasn't been quiet about his discontent about the role, saying he was really paid for being a whore. However, what little he was given to do, Eccleston brings his great talent to a villain that you really want to know more about. But he is still a major character in a Marvel movie, which is iconic in our book. Eccleston admits he whored himself out for another iconic genre role, that of Destro in G.I. Joe. It's just my hope that the tremendously talented Eccleston can be in a genre role that brings him more joy. Number 4. Tom Baker as Bendu, Star Wars Rebels. When it comes to the Doctor, the image of Tom Baker is embedded within popular culture, even 40 years after he played the role. The Fourth Doctor had a wild, frantic energy to him, something that would become a common component to the Doctor. It's no surprise Baker, of all people, should be utilized in another long-running space franchise. And it's a fantastic, weird character, and one of my absolutely favorite installments. In the third season of the animated series Star Wars Rebels, viewers were introduced to the mysterious Bendu, a massive creature of an unknown species that claimed to be the center point of the Force, existing on neither the light nor the dark side. Bendu would serve as a spiritual advisor to Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger, but remained outside of the rebel conflict with the Imperials. Baker's voice work added a tired wisdom to the character, and a sense of gravitas that was needed for such a larger-than-life character. With so much still unknown about the Bendu, we can only hope that he eventually appears in another Star Wars project, and that Baker is once again brought in to provide voice work. Number 3, Sylvester McCoy as Radagast, The Hobbit Trilogy. Sylvester McCoy's time as the Seventh Doctor was abruptly ended by the BBC's decision to cease making Doctor Who in 1989, but that didn't make him any less of a memorable addition to the Regeneration roster. Sometimes bumbling, sometimes calculating, the Professor, as Ace called him, showed many layers in his time. The charming quirkiness hiding a powerful creature that the Doctor possesses was the perfect fit for one of the Maiar of Middle-earth. McCoy would take on the role of Radagast the Brown in Peter Jackson's Hobbit trilogy. Radagast was one of the wizards, a cousin to Gandalf. He used his affinity for animals to assist him in his role defeating the evil in Middle-earth, and he served as the protector of the Greenwood. Due to the popularity of The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies, this might be a situation where the younger generation more associates McCoy with The Hobbit than Doctor Who. That's just a guess on my part, and certainly not how I see it, as I find the Seventh Doctor to be endlessly endearing. But there's no doubt that appearing as one of the most deceptively powerful characters in Middle-earth has left an indelible impact on popular culture. Number 2, Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen, House of the Dragon. The youngest actor to take on the role of the Doctor, Matt Smith brought a heaviness to his portrayal. Despite on the surface appearing to be a goofy klutz with a love of fezzes, bow ties, and fish fingers and custard, deep down lurked a dark side and a heavy heart for all of the terrible things he'd done in his existence. Matt Smith will forever be the 11th Doctor. But that's not going to stop him from hitting many of the science fiction and fantasy heavy hitters. One of his first roles after leaving Who was as Skynet, the murderous computer in Terminator Genesis. Which was, well, still it was a major role to play, seeing as no one up until then had played the computer system that destroyed the world in the Terminator franchise. Just last year, he would play Milo in Morbius, which... Ah, damn it, Matt. You're making this really hard for me. Still, another Marvel appearance, which we gotta mark down, and certainly it was a meme-tastic turn. But everyone knows what put Smith this high up on the list. A role that may well just be as memorable for Smith as the 11th Doctor. A role so major that when I was talking to Giraffe about the 11th Doctor, she said, "Wait, that dude from House of the Dragon is a doctor?" It is a role so big that there will be more people who have that exact reaction. In the prequel to Game of Thrones, Smith plays Daemon Targaryen, the hot-blooded younger brother of King Viserys, and eventual husband to his niece Rhaenyra. Hey, those are the Targaryens for you. Smith is able to show a lot off in House of the Dragon. He shows off a lot. A lot. But nude scenes aside, Smith is able to show off a dangerous side, outstripping anything he was able to display as the Doctor. Yet he is still allowed moments of tenderness, even if they are tinged by the incest we expect from something by George R.R. Martin. Number 1. David Tennant as Crowley, Good Omens. At this point, I think David Tennant in general could take the spot, as just like John Hurt, the sheer number of iconic genre work he's done is absolutely staggering. As the 10th Doctor, David Tennant has become what people think of when they think of Doctor Who, if they're not thinking about Tom Baker. This is no surprise due to the length and popularity of his tenure. As the 10th Doctor, Tennant was able to be dramatic, funny, romantic, and irreverent. And outside of Who... oh boy, where to start? Well, let's get this out of the way. He was also in that Wizard Boy franchise, portraying Barty Crouch Jr. He voiced Hu Yang in Star Wars The Clone Wars. He was the chilling Kilgrave in Jessica Jones. If we can just get him in a Star Trek appearance, we'll have hit all of my big fandoms. But probably the role he was absolutely born to play, allowing for him for once to have his Scottish accent, is as Scrooge McDuck in the amazing reboot of DuckTales. If this weren't enough, Tennant brought to life Crowley, the morally ambivalent demon from Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman's Good Omens. This depiction of an angel who did not so much fall as saunter vaguely downwards gave Tumblr a whole new way to portray one of their longtime darlings. Crowley was snarky, quick-witted, and pretty clearly in love with his heavenly counterpart, Aziraphale. The internet had no chance. The Doctor is an incredible character, and will keep attracting incredible actors to the role, who on top of playing the Doctor will go on to play many other important roles. I suspect it won't be long until I have a whole slew of other characters to add to this list. But before then, I probably have some other lists I can do in the same vein. As I was writing this list, I realized just how many companions have gone on to some pretty amazing roles, which I might have to cover in the future. So tell me what your favorite non-doctor role from a doctor is. Comment down below. If you like my videos, subscribe to my channel. We're getting so close to the next goal, I can just taste it. I do videos about Doctor Who, Marvel, Star Trek, Star Wars, and lots of other geeky things. It's my New Year's resolution to do at least one top 10 list a week. Also be sure to catch the daily short series, The Headcanon Minute. Wednesday is Hulock Day. If you want to support me, please visit my Patreon. You can also buy me a coffee, or you can go to my Redbubble and TeePublic and buy my geeky graphic designs. You can find me on all of those platforms, as well as most social media, as Emcee Frodis. So until next time, live long and may the Force be with you.